Travis Konecny, Ivan Provorov. Call them Hexy's Hexers. The youngsters. Looks like they're going to make the roster for this upcoming Flyers season. Caleb Weiler's here. I'm Adrian FedQ. Let's talk about the studs. That's what everyone wants to talk about here in Philly.
Oh, yeah. This is an exciting time to be a Flyers fan right now. Travis Konecny and Ivan Provorov have been opening eyes at the junior level, and now they're getting the chance on the big stage to show everybody what they've got. Normally at this point in the preseason, Hextall sends their players down back to juniors. But as you see in the case right now with Provorov and Konecny, they're both up with the team. Konecny was on a top line with Giroux and Shen, and Provorov was paired with Gostisbehere, who was the Flyers' best offensive defenseman last year. So they're expecting big things out of them this year. I think they have a good shot to make the squad.
Okay. Now let's talk about these two guys, like maybe in a little bit more of a broader sense, because for the Flyers fans that maybe don't know, I kind of want you to explain to them how good these guys really are. Because, like, the Sixers right now obviously have a bunch of young talent. And, how does Konecny and Provorov, from your point of view, how much talent do these guys have? Are they like an MD, like say are these franchise-changing players?
All right, well, first we're going to start about Ivan Provorov, because he's going to be the Flyers' first #1 defenseman that they've drafted in a long time. This kid has a chance to be a staple on the back end for the next 10 to 15 years. I think he's going to be Victor Hedman good, and that's saying a lot. I think he's going to be a really good two-way defenseman. He's going to score some points, and just right up to now, he scored more than a point per game last year in the CHL. He was the CHL Defenseman of the Year. He is just a stud. You can see that he has the brains when he's moving the puck around the ice. He doesn't make dumb plays. He plays people off the puck, and he also has a good offensive game to him. So I think he's going to be a great #1 defenseman for the Flyers. And then to move over to Travis Konecny, that kid is also a stud. I think the most important thing that he brings to the Flyers is speed. You don't have a lot of speed on the Flyers. I think a couple of years ago, Jay Rosehill won the speed contest in training camp. And you're like, who's Jay Rosehill? That's because no one cares. So you see now Travis Konecny burning people down the wing. He's just going to go around. He's just going to beat people with his speed, and his hands are second to none. So I think there's a good chance that Travis Konecny, who scored at almost a 2-point-per-game pace in juniors last year before injuring his shoulder between the Sarnia Sting and the Auto 67s, has a good shot to bring a little bit of extra pizzazz to the Flyers.
Now, you talked about the speed. Now, for hockey fans out there that may not watch hockey on a regular basis, what does that kind of speed bring to the team, especially for this Flyers team, like you said, hasn't had a lot of speed recently?
Yeah, it's huge. It allows the Flyers to open up the ice a little bit more. You got some Flyers fans who are stuck back in the 70s who are into the Rock'em Sock'em Broad Street Bullies type hockey, where you can hit them and then it doesn't matter how fast they are. But in today's hockey, that's not a thing anymore. You see Radko Gudas getting a boarding penalty 5 and a 10, which was really just a normal 2-minute boarding penalty, in my opinion, due to the fact that BC turned the way he did. But the fact that you can't really hit like that in the NHL anymore, I mean, it's crazy. Scott Stevens used to level people out, and in today's day and age, that's a game misconduct. From that Rock'em Sock'em game to the way the speed game plays is going to add a huge other dimension to the Flyers this season.
Now, we referenced a little bit before about how Provorov and Konecny not being handled like everybody else that Ron Hextall handles. Why is that? Why are they being handled differently?
Well, in the 2015 draft, Ivan Provorov was thought to be the best draft in the defenseman. The Flyers had the 7th overall pick last year, and that's when they took him. You could just tell that he was NHL ready at the time, but due to the Flyers' logjam on defense, they didn't add him. There was a defenseman taken before him, Noah Hannafin, and he did play in the NHL last year, but I think Provorov has a chance to be an all-around better defender. I think Hextall wanted them to mature, get their game better in juniors last year, which they obviously both did because they're both still on the training camp side of things. I think you see Provorov out there right now just playing heads above everybody else on the defensive end, not necessarily offensively, but defensively, using his head, playing the puck the right way, playing the man the right way. And I think he's just showing Ron Hextall that he deserves to be in the NHL. There's no more room for growth in juniors. And same with Travis Konecny. I think that he's been so good that there's really just no way that Ron Hextall can send him back. He's played his way onto the top line in the preseason. He's tied for the team lead in points with 4. He's just playing crazy good right now, and I think he does not want to be sent back to juniors.
Who's the better one of the two?
I have to go to Ivan Provorov. Part of me wants to give it to Travis Konecny because he's flashy and people love offense. But I played ice hockey growing up. I played defense, and you can really see the value that a number one defenseman adds to a hockey team. Having Ivan Provorov on the back line as a staple for that defense is going to be huge. So while it might be better to see Travis Konecny scoring goals, flying down the wing and just beating everybody, I think Ivan Provorov has the better all-around game, has a better head on his shoulders, and he's going to be the better flyer in the long run.
So there it is. If Caleb Weiler says it, it must be true. Ivan Provorov, stud muffin. All right, so 3 cuts still have to be made. Flyers have 2 more preseason games remaining before starting their season next week. So those 3 cuts, who do you think they might be?
All right, I have 4 people on the mind for who the Flyers roster cuts are going to be, and one's going to have to be on the back end, and one's going to have to be on the top end. I think Dave Haxtell said today that the Flyers might keep 8 defensemen, at which point they would not have to cut anybody. But I think my number 1 cut's going to be Matt Reed. If they bury him in the AHL, they're going to lose about $800,000 on the cap. So that's going to open up some space to add a player like Travis Konecny, who's on an entry-level contract for just over $900,000 a year. So they'll be able to add him onto the squad. Secondly, I would probably say Andrew McDonald. He's had a great preseason, but there might just not be a place for him on the roster with Del Zotto back. Gudis re-signed a contract. And then if Provorov makes the team, I really just don't think there's a place other than as a 7th defenseman up in the press box for Andrew McDonald. In addition to that, someone like Brandon Manning, same situation. But if they put him through waivers, there's a chance he's claimed. So I think he makes the squad. Okay. Nick Schultz, who really has not played too well either. He's been injured a little bit. So I think there's a chance that he could get sent down to the minors as well.
Now you wanted to talk about Moran a little bit. What are your thoughts on him?
So Sam Moran, he has had a great training camp. I mean, he had a dreadful turnover in the game on Monday. Just dreadful. Led right to a goal, played it up the middle, which you should never do as a defenseman. But other than that, he's 6'8". He's a big guy. He takes the body well, plays defense really well. And last year, he was the last cut before the season started. This year, he made it this far into training camp with only 3 or 4 cuts to go when he got cut. And I think there's a chance that he's progressing so quickly that if we see an injury this year or a trade at the deadline, that Moran's going to be the person to be called up.
Okay, interesting. All right, so guys that you've liked so far in the preseason that maybe people don't know. What do you think?
Guys I've liked so far in the preseason. I mean, other than the obvious Travis Konecny and Ivan Provorov, I have to go to Jake Voracek, and I gave him a lot of slack last year. But every other year, he seems to turn to Jake Skorchek. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He played a killer game on Monday. He had that amazing one-man effort against a New York Rangers team that was mostly vets. He just skated through everybody and scored a goal, albeit on the New York Rangers backup, but it was a huge strength of skill right there to see him do that. And like I said earlier, even though I think he might get cut for cap reasons, Andrew McDonald has played pretty well. He's blocking pucks. He's playing smart, and I think there's a chance that he might have played his way into a roster spot.
Is Voracek still going out with Sheena Parveen? Is that still a thing?
That was Scott Hartnell, and then he got traded. So.
Oh, never mind. Yeah. I got the hair mixed up. I'm an idiot. I got the hair mixed up. Sheena Parveen, she left NBC today.
Maybe she went up to Columbus.
Yeah. She's actually going to Washington, D.C. So she's going to work for another NBC affiliate down there. So, yeah, I don't know why I was thinking that. Voracek, Hartnell, same fuckers. Whatever.
It's the hair.
It's the hair. All right, so let's talk goalies. Michael Neuvirth, Steve Mason. I know you like Mason a little bit. Talk about his preseason.
Yeah, Steve Mason didn't let up his first goal of the preseason until last game in the second period. He's been crazy good all year. I don't know if it's the prospect of him becoming a father this year. His fiance is due to give birth sometime this week, possibly today, maybe tomorrow. So I think he's just in a good all-around mood, and it shows on the ice. He's been standing on his head. He had a great save in the first period on a one-timer, and he's just been so good. You haven't really been able to see Michael Neuvirth too much. He hasn't played all that much. He let in 3 goals in the game he played, but he did play in the World Cup, and he looked good in the game he played in. I think they lost, but he was playing Canada. So there's really no chance for him to win that game anyway. I still think Mason takes the starting job over Neuvirth, but I expect to see a pretty good goalie competition where you end up seeing Mason with 60% of the starts and Neuvirth with 40%.
Well, I know who's got the battle won in terms of goalie mask. Neuvirth's mask is awesome.
Yeah, it was a pretty great thing for Michael Neuvirth, even after only being on the Flyers for 2 years, to give that mask as a tribute to Ed Snyder, because he was able to see what Ed Snyder meant to the Flyers, and he put that on his mask for everybody to see. It's great to see that Michael Neuvirth did that. I think it would be a little bit morbid if Steve Mason added a zombie Ed Snyder to his mask. So I'm glad he kept it off of there.
And let's talk about the jerseys too. 50-year anniversary. You got the logo there at center ice, and you got the jersey there with the gold. A lot of people didn't like these jerseys. What did you think? I honestly, I thought they looked kind of cool.
Yeah, so I ended up seeing them in person. I went to Flyers training camp, and they were selling them there. And I have to admit, at first, I thought they were pretty gaudy. Gold you kind of associate with Pittsburgh. I think having the gold numbers.
That is true. I didn't think about that.
Yes. So you have the gold with Pittsburgh, and I think the numbers were just a little too much. I like the overall layout of the jersey, but if they had made the numbers like they made the nameplate with the gold outlining as opposed to all gold numbers, I think it would have looked a lot better.
There you go. All right. Interesting. All right, so before we head out, we were kind of going to do a show on the World Championships of Hockey, just kind of never panned out. So what are your thoughts on that? What is it called? You can just talk about it. I don't know what the fuck it's called.
Yeah, so the World Cup of Hockey was awesome. You always assumed that Team Canada would win. I thought Team Canada could give them a run for their money. Unfortunately, they lost to Russia, who ended up moving on, and then Russia lost to Canada. But Team North America is something I'd like to see moving on into the future. They have the under-23 team. That would be something really cool because you get to see all the young talent go against the people who are already established in the league. It wasn't surprising to see Canada win. The way they won was surprising. Team Europe was up all game, and then Canada scored like 2 goals in 2 minutes. So it was a little disappointing, but I think it was a great way for the league to get everybody excited about hockey before the season started.
Now, the thing that confuses me about this, because obviously I'm not a hockey guy, so why is there like a North America team, but also United States and Canada team? Like, are these guys the same? Are the same players playing for both of these teams?
No. So what they did was they wanted to give young players a chance to play, like Shane Gostisbehere, Sean Couturier, Connor McDavid, Jack Eichel, Austin Matthews. So Team North America was comprised of American-born and Canadian-born players, all under the age of 23.
Ah, okay.
If you ask me, it was just a way to sell more jerseys. I mean, I bought a Shane Gostisbehere Team North America jersey, and I'm sure a lot of people bought a lot of Team North America jerseys. So, while it was a cool stunt for them to do, I think it was more PR than anything else.
What'd you think of some of the Flyers that were in the championships? Any of them play well?
Yeah, well, Shane Gostisbehere after the preliminary rounds was tied for the tournament lead in points with 4. He had 4 assists in all the games that he played. It was 3 came in 1 game, but that's still pretty impressive when you're playing against men who are 10 years or 5 years older than you. So I was really impressed with Shane Gostisbehere. Claude Giroux didn't play that much. He was a healthy scratch for most games, which I thought was really surprising. But the 1 game he played in, he looked good. Just as always, I think Claude Giroux is going to play an awesome year this year. And Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, who I think, might be a healthy scratch at some points this season, looked good for Team Europe. And as always, Jake Voracek, turning my mind around, looking good in the World Cup.
There it is. All right. So before we head out, I want to let you guys know, obviously we have a new website, thebitterbirds.com, and Caleb is already providing some fantastic content on the Flyers. So make sure you check that out. I'm going to include the links in the description box below as well. So, dude, this guy brings it. I mean, he knows more Flyers than anybody else I know. That's for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's an honor to be able to write. I love writing about the Flyers. It's something that keeps me happy. So hopefully you guys check it out. Hopefully you like it. Leave some comments. Let me know what you think.
And huge credit to Adele, because if it wasn't for her, there'd be numerous spelling mistakes throughout your entire pieces.
Absolutely. I'm awful at writing how I talk, so I write excessively in passive voice. So she just changes that for me before I send it to you.
Yeah, it's funny because your writing style is a little bit different than mine. I talk in I do broadcasting style writing. So I the words that you put in the front of your sentences, I always put in the back. So it's like completely different style. But hey, the content is great, and definitely check Caleb's stuff out. I mean, he's a stud muffin. There's a reason why I brought him onto the team. So this dude knows more hockey than anybody I know, and probably more than most of you guys. So probably more than 99.9% of this country.
I think that's a fair assessment of the situation.
There you go. All right. Final thoughts before we head out.
All right. Flyers have looked good. I expect Travis Konecny and Provorov to make the team this year to buck the trend of Ron Hextall sending people back to juniors. And non-Flyers related, congratulations to Connor McDavid. He was announced as the Oilers' next captain today, making him the youngest player ever to be named captain of an NHL team. So congratulations to him. And I think it's going to be a fun season this year, so buckle up.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'll actually be watching some more games this year. I'm not going to lie, I'm not a big hockey fan, but I am intrigued by Provorov and Konecny, and I'll definitely be staying tuned this season. So for Caleb Weiler, I am Adrian VedQ. Flyers hockey starting soon. I'm sure you guys love that. So we are out, and make sure you stay tuned, man. Caleb's going to be bringing the heat on the internet, on our website, and then we're also going to be here as well. So, hope you guys enjoy, and take care.
That's it.